This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Sunday, February 6, 2022. The title of this rant is Vladi appears to be doubling down in Ukraine. Will he blink? Well, I just want to say, I still think Joe should preempt all of this and start putting on sanctions now before Vladi invades, but a lot has gone on in the last couple days, and the anatomy of the basic thing is Vladi is putting troops near the border, threatening an invasion. Basically, what he expects is the West to blink, to the West not to have a united front, the West to disintegrate, and then for him to take his stuff, his geographical, take geography. He's already taken part of Georgia. He's taken the Crimea. Now he wants to get part in Ukraine. But what has gone on behind the scenes has been very apparent in the last couple of days that Joe is showing that whatever psyche vow the Russians did on Joe, that he might be weak because all the Republicans were saying is not the case. Joe has shown himself to be quite the leader, as he has sent troops into Europe, as Europeans have had, let's just say, a united front, and from England to France to Spain and some other countries are sending troops nearer to the border, not into Ukraine, but nearer to the border. And not only that, arms, planes, boats, etc., all to the near to Ukraine as they continue with economic, diplomatic, let's just say talks and possible sanctions. And I think it was a brilliant thing when they gave out the fact that the Russians might be trying a false flag to pretend that Russians have been killed in Ukraine, slaughtered in Ukraine, showing dead bodies that weren't dead bodies, and then justifying the reason to go into Ukraine. And because it shows that they knew Vladi's tricks. They knew what was going to happen, and they were preempting it. Now, some people have said, "Oh, that's similar to what we were saying about WMDs in Iraq." No, the WMDs in Iraq were there because the Bush administration wanted to use that as an excuse to go in, whereas the Biden administration is wanting that to make sure that Russia does not go in. So, not the same at all. Now, in diplomacy, we know that everyone has to win. Everyone has to go out of there claiming that they had won a victory. And of course, with Joe's united front, that means Vladimir's victory is going to be a lot less than what he might have thought it would be. And how is he going to go home when he's claiming all of this bad things are happening to Russia? But at the same time, it's probably true that Vladi still thinks that he can disrupt the Europeans and take Ukraine or take parts of Ukraine, or stick someone else in there that is beholden to Vladi, etc. Now, we know that right now Russia is almost at 80%. I think they said 73%. They could up that in the next 2 weeks. Nothing's going to happen in the next 2 weeks because of the Olympics. Then we see what the weather has to be. But we already know that if there is an invasion, that up to as many as 50,000 Ukrainians could be killed. And that's a high price to pay. And there will be many Russian soldiers wounded, maimed, and killed if that also happens also. Now, Ukraine, was part of the Soviet Union for a long, long time, but the Ukraine itself as a country is 80% Ukrainian and only 20% Russian. So what we are actually going to have here is, if they do go in, is that there will be an occupation. An occupation, and if you look at it, possibly similar to what we did when we went into Iraq in 2003, and all of the stuff that happened, bad stuff that happened to the United States after that. And one other thing about this, we found out a lot of stuff about Iraq pretty quick, but this invasion, if it is going to happen, will be broadcast live. There will be live drone shots. There will be live satellite shots, and there will be live smartphones all over the place, showing what is going on. And guess what? There will be atrocities, and they also will be committed, and they also will be broadcast live. And I'm pretty sure that the West and the United States has a number of other tools that they have not exposed as of yet. And that could be very bad. Now, Russia hasn't exposed all of theirs either, but again, we have the capability of crushing them, and we need to do that. And of course, the worst thing about all of this is that one of the things about a war is there are always unintended consequences that happen as a result of a war. What did Rumsfeld said? The unknown unknowns. And Vladi is taking a real chance he's taking a real chance of being dethroned, if you want to call it that. If you remember, if he goes home wounded, he might not survive. As Clint Eastwood did in Dirty Harry, when the bank robber was lying on the ground right next to his gun, and Dirty Harry shows his gun, his .45 Magnum, and says, "Do you feel lucky?" Is Vladi going to feel lucky if he can't get what he wants out of it? And will he double down? And will he invade? Will there be unintended consequences? Will the United States and its allies crush Russia? Well, this is all bad stuff that's going to happen. Let's hope there's not an invasion, and diplomatic and economic pressure will cause this to stop.